Hello, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Kyle Everson. I'm a communications specialist for the Minnesota Department of Public Safety and the Minnesota State Patrol. In a moment, DPS Commissioner Bob Jacobson and Chief of the State Patrol, Colonel Kristina Bogoyevich, will outline security screening changes that will begin Tuesday here at the Minnesota State Capitol. After their remarks, we'll open it up for questions. I just ask that when you're asking a question, please state your name and the media organization you represent. Following the Q&A, we'll move upstairs for a brief demonstration of how this screening process will work. And if you have additional questions, you can ask additional questions then as well. And with that, I'm going to kick it off to Commissioner Jacobson.
Good afternoon, and thank you. And thanks for being here. My name is Bob Jacobson, and I have the honor of serving as the Commissioner of the Minnesota Department of Public Safety. Weapon screening is a standard safety practice in government buildings across the country because it works as part of a layered approach with trained personnel monitoring and clear procedures. No single measure eliminates all risks, but this one meaningfully reduces preventable risks and violence in a shared civic space where the public, elected officials, and staff gather on a regular basis. Implementing weapon screening at the start of the 2026 legislative session is a proactive step based on an independent security assessment, and it is focused on safety and accessibility, not on restriction. Threats toward public officials and public spaces have increased nationwide over the past few years. In Minnesota, we have experienced this firsthand last summer with the murders of Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman, Mark Hortman, and the shootings of Senator John Hoffman and Yvette Hoffman in their homes. We all want the seat of democracy in our state to remain open and accessible. We all want people to come and stand up for what they believe in and to make their voices heard. None of that changes with weapon screening. It's simply another layer of protection, a publicly understood and effective tool to address safety in today's world. That said, we understand that this is a change from what people are accustomed to. That's why we are being clear and upfront about what to expect, where to enter, and how the process works so that people can plan ahead. We're also asking the public to remember that safety is a shared responsibility. If you see suspicious behavior or anything that doesn't seem right, call 911 or find one of our State Patrol troopers or Capitol security officers. We will be evaluating how the weapon screening process works, and we'll make adjustments as needed to ensure screening is efficient and not a deterrent to people who want to come to the Capitol. Our responsibility, as always, is to ensure that everyone who comes to the Minnesota State Capitol, whether they're visiting, working, learning, or participating in our democratic process, can do so safely. We recognize the Capitol is an important civic space, and we are committed to keeping it open, accessible, and welcoming, while also reducing preventable risks and supporting the safety of all who are here. With that, I'll turn it over to Colonel Kristina Bogoyevich.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm Kristina Bogoyevich. I have the honor of serving as the Colonel of the Minnesota State Patrol. As Commissioner Jacobson just mentioned, starting Tuesday, we will begin weapon screening here at the Capitol building. Our goal is simple. Every person who walks through the doors should feel safe and welcome. Before I begin explaining how screening will work, I want to be very clear about what this is and what this is not. This is not a weapons ban. It does not change state law. Under the direction of the Governor's executive order and the Commissioner of Public Safety, what we are doing is adding a layer of protection so everyone can enjoy this historic building safely. The Capitol is the most visited building on the complex. It hosts tours, legislative hearings, school field trips, community events, and public gatherings. Because this building belongs to the people, it must be a place where everyone feels secure. Screening is a widely used safety tool that helps make that possible for visitors, staff, and officials who come here. So what does this mean for our visitors? Beginning on the first day of legislative session on Tuesday, visitors to the Capitol will have 4 public access points where they will enter and be screened. All other exterior doors will not be open for public entry. Visitors are encouraged to use the south ground level entrance beneath the front steps of the Capitol building, which will serve as the primary public entrance. Additional access will be available through tunnels connecting the Senate building to the north side of the Capitol building, the State Office building and parking lot C to the west side of the Capitol building, the Judicial Center to the east side of the Capitol building, and we are also asking visitors to exit through these same locations unless there were to be an emergency. All of these entrances and screening areas are ADA accessible, and staff will be on hand during public hours to guide visitors and answer questions. This is about keeping the process simple and smooth, not slowing people down. Here's how the screening process will work. Visitors will walk through screening equipment similar to what you see at many other government buildings and large public venues. Unless directed by security staff, visitors generally will not need to empty their pockets, show identification, or take off their coat or jacket. Bags, purses, and other large items will go through a separate bag scanner. For most visitors, this process will take just seconds. However, if an item cannot be immediately identified, additional screening by our Capitol security staff may be required. If a visitor arrives with a prohibited item, they will not be allowed to enter the Capitol with that item, and Capitol does not store prohibited items for visitors. We will have more information covering prohibited items on our State Patrol website. To help everything move efficiently, our message to the public is straightforward. Plan ahead, carry fewer items when possible, and follow security staff instructions. Those simple steps will help keep screening fast and smooth for everyone. Once inside, visitors may notice different levels of security and restrictions in different areas of the Capitol building. To support consistent operations, it's also important to note the Capitol will close to the general public at 4:30 each weekday starting on Tuesday. However, we understand that public access is important when legislative hearings or sessions extend beyond their normally scheduled time. When that happens, we are prepared to make accommodations so the public will still be able to access the building through those 4 access points. Weapons screening is a common security tool used in Capitol buildings and government buildings across the country. A similar screening process has already been in place here on the Capitol complex for the State Supreme Court and the Judicial Building. We are simply taking an additional step to keep up with the best security practices being used nationwide. As this process begins, we will continue to assess how it's working, if adjustments are needed to improve efficiency or convenience for the public. Our goal is a screening process that is not only secure, but smooth and efficient. This is about protection, not restriction. And it's about making sure the Minnesota State Capitol remains open, welcoming, and safe for everyone. In just a moment, we'll move upstairs to give you a demonstration of how this equipment works and what the screening process looks like. But first, we're happy to take any questions.
Do you have an expectation for how long someone can take to get from outside the doors to inside the building, or all screened?
So the question was about how long it will take someone to come through. It should take a matter of seconds unless you're carrying a prohibited item, and then we'll have to have more questions.
I think I asked that wrong.
Okay.
If there's a line of people, you've got 4 entrances, right, and most of them will be coming in, I assume, on G here on the south side. And you get students, you get teachers, you get, Moms Demand Action are here today. You get a bunch of people here. Do you have an expectation for how long, when a crowd shows up, they should go from arriving at the door to getting inside?
So again, it has to do with timing of large groups getting through the main public entrance or where we're guiding people. Again, that is something we will assess this week as we move through this. But it should, when I say seconds, it still should take seconds. If we lined everybody up here and asked them to walk out the door, that is the time it should take to get into the building.
So what are the prohibited items in county terms?
So a question was prohibited items. I am going to direct you to our website because there are prohibited items under statute, but then there are also administrative rules that prohibit certain items. And so the list can be lengthy, so I will just direct you to our website.
Alex Sturger, Pioneer Press here. One of those, you can still, if you have a permit to carry, bring a gun to the Capitol, right?
So the question was about permits to carry. Yes, if it is legal now, it will be legal when screening starts. That process, again, you'll alert security or staff that you have a permit. You will walk through the technology on this equipment. When we looked at it, we looked at how long it will take someone to walk through and the advanced technology. You'll see when we go up there, it points to the area on the body that that weapon or prohibited item is being carried. We'll pull you away from the line so the line behind you can keep moving, go through that permit process again with the Minnesota ID or the state ID, and move you along into the Capitol.
Quinn Gorham, Gray Media. Commissioner, could you, I know we've heard a little bit about this from the governor's office already, but could you just reiterate where the money for this is coming from, why you guys were able to, and how you guys were able to do this without legislative appropriation for it?
So that's the question is about how did we get to this point, legislative appropriations, how we were able to accomplish this. First of all, I just want to say that the governor and I know his staff, I know Colonel Bogievich, and for me personally, that safety and security of those who come to the Capitol are something that I worry about every day. That I think it is really important that Minnesotans who come to the Capitol want to be able to feel safe, that they feel that security is in place. Statute specifically delegates responsibility for safety and security at the Capitol to the commissioner. And that is a duty and that is a responsibility and an accountability that I have to the public to make sure that we are providing what we think is appropriate security at the state Capitol. So that has long been a concern. The Capitol has been safe, but again, we want to make sure that we're prepared for anything that may happen in the future. As you're also aware, ACAS has been meeting several times. They accepted the Axtel report. And as you, those of you that have been tracking the Axtel report will know that the number one recommendation from the Axtel report, that if there's one thing that could be implemented immediately, it was weapon screening. And as we look around the country as well, we see that it is very common for other state capitals around the country to have weapon screening. So this is nothing out of the ordinary. And in fact, we are, again, trying to take that next step so that we are providing what we think is the next generation of safety for those who visit the Capitol. We will be incurring those expenses within the State Patrol budget. We certainly know that one of the things that as we look to this long term, that there are going to be expenses associated with this, and we know that legislators will be spending some time paying attention to those costs, and as we move forward, evaluating how this works and what the safety and security that they see is appropriate for the future. But I am indebted, number one, to our legislators who have largely shown support through the ACAS committee, approved the recommendations for the Axtel recommendation, for accepting that report and making sure that we all know that they believe that weapon screening is the one recommendation that we should follow through on. And under my direction, the State Patrol will implement those processes and procedures.
What specific types of threats are you hoping that this screening process prevents that wouldn't have been prevented otherwise? I mean, the public and legislators can still be armed. I'm wondering what exactly are the concerns that are being addressed here?
So the question was what concerns we think we may we might be presented with screening. So this offers a few security layers. The first one, by directing everyone into those 4 entrances, we will be able to view everyone that is entering the Capitol. For that first communication, again, with those that are coming into the Capitol. Second, in the past, we wouldn't know if someone was carrying an illegal or a prohibited item. If they hid it under a jacket, we wouldn't know that unless it was used. And so, again, this is a layer of security to allow us to see those prohibited items before they make it into the Capitol.
I understand you're referring people to the website, but an awful lot of us carry things like this. Will this flag me if I walk through, a little Swiss Army knife, just to save people trouble? And to save you from having to fight with people with little pocket knives?
So under the statute 609, dangerous weapons, it is anything that can injure someone. And so that may set something off. We do have the ability to set the sensitivity on the machine. And again, those are things as we move forward that we may have to adjust. Again, this is somewhat new for us. We've been in the judicial building with it under different policies, but we will, again, continue to have discussions like that on the pocket knife.
Knives need to stay home.
Yes.
What might somebody who is in possession of a concealed carry permit and is concealed carrying in the Capitol run into? What might their experience be with this new process?
So the only thing different for them, again, is when they come through that screening point, declaring that they have a permit. They'll still walk through the screening equipment. They'll talk with a trooper briefly to verify that permit and to verify their government-issued ID, and they'll move into the Capitol, and there should be no change in their visit to the Capitol building.
How about members and staff? Are you screening them?
So the question was members and staff. So elected officials are in the exempt, so we will not be screening them. There will be a separate lane for legislators to walk through. Staff right now is not exempted. They will go through the screening process just as everyone else will.
Okay, one more question.
So if you have a pass to get in and doors are closed at 4:30 and you've got a pass to do work in, can you still get in after hours, or how is that gonna work?
So the question was about after hours and having a pass to get into the Capitol. We are hoping that people do not see a huge change with that. If there is business being conducted, such as legislative hearings or floor sessions, again, all 4 entrance points will be open to the public. If you're here after hours and there's not business being conducted in the Capitol, you still have the opportunity to go through that south entrance. You'll have to hit the call button to get in. You'll go through the screening process, and then you can go conduct your business within the Capitol.
Does that mean these tunnels will be locked?
The question was, will the tunnels be locked? Yes, key card access will be restricted.
Restricted to everybody?
Yes, the restriction will be to everyone. Again, as I've explained, we need to start with a narrow scope. And then as we move forward, we'll make adjustments as necessary.
The east side Senate door closer to the parking ramp, does that now kind of get shut because there may or may not be screening at that door? Do you know what door I'm talking about? That's in that little cul-de-sac on the north side of University.
I am not sure what door you're talking about right now.
By the end, yes, thank you.
So yes,
Senate office building.
yes, as you come in from the admin ramp and you move down that hallway, there is screening down there. You'll come through the glass doors, and then the screening equipment coming into the Capitol will be there.
But into the Senate building is what I'm talking about. That door.
So
Main door, that main door.
yes, the Senate
Yes.
is also implementing screening. And so, but any of those questions will need to be directed to the Senate.
All right, with that, we're going to wrap up for now. Like I said, when we do the demonstration, if you have additional questions, we can certainly take them there. We will be going up 1 level to the front doors. Yes.